Thanks, everybody, for staying so late, so hopefully we'll make it worth your while. Actually, this is going to be a very interesting panel because we have a very diverse set of panelists up here. Hopefully, I'll just kick it over to them right now, and you'll be able to see that. And also, again, we're going to just do one question, then kick it out to you guys to make it very interactive. But Ollie, do you want to go first?
Sure. My name's Ollie Lamb. I'm co-founder of Oscar Capital, and we are a venture fund specifically dedicated to the medical and pharmaceutical cannabis space.
My name's Brett Worley. I'm the CEO of MC Global Holdings. Our main holding is MC Nutraceuticals, which is the world's largest cannabinoid distributor.
Good afternoon. My name is Trenton Birch. I head up Chiba Africa. We are the leading educator and trainer in the cannabis and hemp space. We train across the full value chain. We also run a consultancy. South Africa is open for business. So if anybody would like to buy any of our weed or immerse with us in any way, we're here. And I'll unpack it a bit more as we get into things. Thanks.
And real quick, I don't know if you guys, where are you guys based?
So I'm based in London, but we have a team in Paris and some advisors in the US.
Denver, Colorado, and Czechia.
I'm in Johannesburg. Yeah.
So to wrap this whole thing up for the end of the day, and again, talking about maybe where this is going in the future, and as we've talked about earlier today, there's certainly some stigma remains. And the question to the panelists then is, what maybe major events or what they see in their business model is going to change that mindset, whether it's short-term or long-term. So starting with you, Ollie, too, that, there's been a lot of capital put in this industry. And as a result of some of the blow-ups that we've talked about a lot today, a lot of that capital is going to still staying on the sidelines. So we want to talk about the stigma as it relates to operations, as it relates to markets, as it relates to revenue, as it relates to capital. Ollie, do you want to kick off that?
Yeah, sure. I think it's interesting hearing the talks today because I think obviously there's a lot of pessimism, there's a lot of frustration about where we are today. And frankly, it's totally reasonable. We're in a pretty depressed state of the market, but ultimately, it's not surprising, I think. This is an emerging sector. This is a novel therapeutic. Admittedly, it's been used for generations and generations, but coupled with the stigma that's been surrounding it for so long, it's unsurprising that there was a resistance to it being legalized, and then an extremely overhyped hype cycle when it eventually was. And now I think we're in a sort of strange limbo situation whereby, in reality, although everything does feel very much appreciated, in terms of true value, I don't think the valuations of today are actually particularly misaligned with what there is in the market. The reason why I say that is because I think perhaps we got used to the overexcitement of the late teens of the last 10 years. And realistically, the only way was down. And had it not come down yet, instead of us being pessimistic here about the current low valuations, the current lack of capital, we'd probably all be terrified about the impending implosion that would inevitably come. So for that reason, we at Oscar Capital are actually very optimistic now. I think we're at a stage where valuations are reasonable, where a lot of the chaff has been washed out of the market, and where ultimately the true benefits of this sector are still there to be realized. Nothing's changed fundamentally about what these products can do for consumers and what they can do for patients. And now it's up to us to realize that.
Well, I think I'm going to shake things up a little bit. So I'm in the hemp space. We don't have any of these problems. We can do interstate commerce. We export to 26 countries. Last month, we sold 600 million 10 milligram doses. So we don't have the restrictions that the cannabis market has to go through. I'll use cannabis and hemp. I bank at Bank of America. They like my money. So we don't see it as much, and maybe it's a breath of fresh air for everybody else. Maybe not. But Florida is the largest cannabis market in the world, and I don't think a lot of people know that, and that's because of Delta-8 THC. We did an economic report with Bo Whitney, who will be here in a couple of days, but it's a $6.9 billion market, I don't know what California is off the top of my head, but it's probably around 5 billion is my guess. Almost every company, I would say 90% plus, cash flow positive, no serious investments have come into the sector for the most part. So everything's been pretty organic and honestly, I would say done the proper way because of the lack of regulation. Now that being said, there's a kind of got to put some guardrails in. That's something that I work on a state-by-state basis. I write most of the laws that go into place. So we lobby in 12 states, and we're putting everything the genie in the bottle a little bit. But we have 480 customers, and there's thousands of online brands that you can buy 42 cannabinoids that we sell from.
And so, Brett, with what you guys are doing, do you think that's going to help more quickly alleviate stigmas both here in U.S.?
Yeah, I think it's already doing that. I think we're also creating a customer base that can go in and buy medicine at a smoke shop or a gas station. I think it's creating almost, I don't want to say a soccer mom consumer, but it's giving people the opportunity to try something that they probably wouldn't have tried alternatively. And also it's killing the black market, which is good for it's bad for some cannabis companies that are still engaged in that, but it's good for us, or it's good for the hemp industry to be able to say that we're killing the black market.
Trent?
I think obviously there's a degree of pessimism around where we're at with the industry, but I think what's important to remember is, in my opinion, this is one of the most important industries of our time. We forget about the impact that this can have on our personal health, the impact that industrial hemp can have on the planet and sustainability. And I'm excited for the future. Yes, we're all a bit burnt out, we're all a bit tired, but you will not find an industry on this planet right now, apart from maybe AI, where you have such a deeply committed, passionate, and purpose-driven industry. A lot of people in this industry are in this industry because they believe in this plant deeply, So I think we've been burnt, and we need to learn from those mistakes. I'm gonna bang on about the whole outdoor thing and indoor thing again, because I know that people in this room don't necessarily have control over legislation, but if your cannabis clubs are restricted to cannabis from Germany, firstly you will fuel the illicit market, because the Colombians and the South Africans and developing economies can grow for a fraction of that price. So I think there needs to be a much more global outlook on building this industry, because ultimately it has the potential to completely seismically change the trajectory of our planet in certain areas. And I think we've got to pull together as a community and an industry and figure out how we can grease the wheels to move this forward. I don't want to see anybody lose money anymore, and I think we can avoid that by learning from the mistakes that have happened.
Well, and just to add to the comments to all these guys, and maybe wrap it in a tidy bow, because most of you probably certainly weren't here when I first started this morning, but if you really do look at cannabis being the genus, and then everything else underneath it, you have THC plus, THC minus, which includes molecular hemp, which is flavonoids, terpenes, HHC, some of the minors, and then you have THC plus, which is Delta 8, Delta 9, THCA. You have the regulated, unregulated, the whole kit and caboodle, if you will. And the opportunity, there's a huge opportunity, and I think it's going to take some patience, some time, and a lot of data, whether it's hemp-derived THC, hemp-derived CBD, CBC, or some of these other things coming from outdoor cultivation. But that being said, we'd like to have this interactive. You guys have stayed so late for us, so we'll throw it out. Hirsch, you can just speak up, Hirsch.
Obviously, the regulatory model for hemp has grown up in a very distinct way than the regulatory model for psychoactive cannabis. And so my question is, do you envision the regulatory model for the entire plant ultimately resembling the world in which you operate? Is that something that you advocate for? And I guess the last part of that question is, if that's true, I'm curious how someone like Oliver thinks about that, right? If that's the world we're going to live in a decade or two, how does that impact the way that you think about investment?
I'll just tell you what my personal belief is, you know, in the US, 21 plus, here 18 plus, 5-6% retail tax, GMP, EU GMP made, call it a day. Give it food guidelines, make it a food, it's a commodity. That's the way we treat it. We treat it as a commodity. We sell, like I said, 42 of these things. So, you know, let people decide how they want to consume it, just like a nutraceutical product or just like a food. And, you know, we also have a direct-to-consumer company where we get to see the benefits of that, you know, directly. And obviously I have my clients that I talk to, but, you know, this is how this medicine should be accessed. And that's why the hemp industry, another fun fact, and this will come out in the next 2 months, the hemp industry is bigger than the cannabis market. The hemp industry is about 40 to 50 billion in retail sales in the US. Cannabis last year was 33 billion. We did that in 4 years. Cannabis has been around for 14 years. So we're growing at 3-4 times the pace. I know the Florida statistics came out too for the medical stuff. I think it was 250 million milligrams are consumed last week. We sell that every day. So it kind of just shows you the scale, it shows you the size. Another thing is, my chemist does a better job of explaining this, but you know, the reality is the demand's going to outpace what you can grow for weed. Hemp's easier to grow. So it's just what's going to happen as these markets do open up, and I think it's it's necessary essentially.
And Oliver, I think the question was to you too on that.
Yeah, so with regards to regulations, we never make bets on regulations. I think, I think we've all probably got a bit overexcited at the start, thinking that certain things were going to happen, especially in the US and also now with Germany. And our view now is that we operate only within the regulatory frameworks that are in place and don't put any money behind anything that relies on regulatory change in order to affect their business model. That being said, Brett, sounds like you're in a very nice situation over there. So hats off to you for that. But yeah, I suppose what we look at in terms of investment is also much more on the medical and pharmaceutical side. So that takes us a little further away from the plant itself. So we look at anything that affects the endocannabinoid system, be that phytocannabinoid or synthetic. So in a sense, that constrains what we look at from the broader cannabis perspective, because we don't typically look at producers, but rather look at IP-rich businesses that are typically developing assets through clinical trials. So again, a very structured, pre-existing regulatory framework where we know the risks to an extent that we can, we know the costs, and we know what the prize is at the end of the road.
So to add to that, Hirsch, so again, we're a lead sponsor, Benzinga, and I got up on the stage and talked about Delta 8, and you do that, and Benzinga is really all about MSOs, LPs, what we call, again, THC plus. And I thought I might get burned at the stake, right? And then a month later, we go to CanMed, and you're at CanMed, and it's all about science, and I learned the fact that I didn't know, and that's the cool thing about this industry, you're always learning new stuff, that there was a guy in the US who was actually studying Delta 8 years in 1942, much sooner, more than 20 years than Rafi Mechoulam found THC or Delta 9. And so the main point I want to make is this is all about innovation. That's the way the world works, man. And if you want to try to get in front of innovation, guess what? You're going to get run over. So I'm sorry, but that's where this industry's going, whether you like it or not. And a lot of these MSOs don't like it, and it's where it's at.
I think the whole division between hemp and cannabis, which is the same plant, I think will eventually fall away. Because to separate this plant into two different dimensions just based on THC level, I think is very naive, because ultimately I think where it needs to be regulated is actually at what the product is going to be used for. So, for example, our medical farms in South Africa cultivate flower, and they have to incinerate the leaves and the stalks. I mean, that just makes no logical sense at all. Likewise, we have a lot of rural farmers who have been cultivating for hundreds of years, and we are looking at creating special zones where they don't need specific licenses, and the flower goes one way, and the stalks and the leaves go another way. And I think that's eventually where we'll see it go. I mean, this whole 0.2% for hemp is just a load of bullshit. It doesn't make any logical sense. And I think that is eventually those lines will start to dissipate, and it'll be based on what the actual plant is being used for as opposed to its THC level. That's just an opinion we have. I was in a government Pakisa last week, and there were 100 delegates all debating this. So we are also trying to be innovative as a developing economy to figure out how we can work within our environment and our different sort of technicalities and processes. And that's something that we've been trying to figure out over the last few months.
Jim, do you have any question that you'd like the panel?
Yeah, I'm still reeling on those stats that you gave me about the amount of money that was made in THC and in hemp. What was that stat again?
Yeah, so I can give you more stats.
No, just give me that one again.
What about Florida or the Florida's 6.9 billion retail market, and then we just did Texas. Texas a $3.3 billion retail market. So Texas is also. Yeah.
What are you doing with that hemp? They're smoking it?
Yeah, so there's, we derive 42 cannabinoids from the hemp plant, and a lot of them are quite psychoactive, yes. So vapes, gummies, whatever, you can get high at something you buy at the gas station now.
And that's because it's putting Delta 8 in it? Or?
We take CBD, we isomerize it into Delta 8, and that's legal federally.
Oh, okay, so it's not just hemp. I mean, it's hemp that's...
It's hemp, it's a cannabinoid derived from the hemp plant, is the legal definition.
So I'm just confused. So I know hemp.
You sure? No, those are good questions.
Yeah, I mean, hemp is a great thing. I've seen kids with 40 seizures a day take CBD made from hemp plants at Charlotte's Web.
Right.
And just save families' lives. Is this the same plant you're talking about?
Yeah, we take hemp, we isolate the CBD out, and then we use it to convert it to another cannabinoid. So we can make...
So you do a chemical conversion?
Yes, isomerization, yeah.
Okay, so you do a chemical conversion of that. And
Correct.
then put it back in.
We
And then people can get high at gas stations.
Short answer, yes, yeah. It's pretty wild.
When I go to the Virgin Islands and they have like a cannabis store, they really have...
They probably have Delta 8 in the Virgin Islands, yeah.
They have the Delta 8.
Yeah, almost anywhere that's a U.S.-based place that hasn't banned it, which is, West Coast essentially, you can go into smoke shops for sure, but about 25% of gas stations carry it, just, not large, like Exxon
So
hasn't done it yet.
it's like a model of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's 90% of our sales are
So
getting
we're not talking about,
It's essentially the new cannabis market.
that's
So
it's just
yeah.
another menu to get high.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people use it for medicine, obviously, as we all know, but yeah, it's
But is there something with that chemical conversion that's not so good for you, or?
no, it's actually pure. So we actually, isolate molecules to where they're pure. So, terpenes have been known to be carcinogens, for example. We just make pure molecules. So it's probably actually safer. Isomerization is a pretty well-known process. So pharmaceuticals, we do hydrogenation, isomerization. Your butter's hydrogenated essentially. So these are common practices.
Okay. So you're really trying to.
And these are all phytocannabinoids also. So they're found in the plant. We just have to scale them somewhat.
What the cannabis plant that I grow on my farm is lovely little dominant creature. Gives you all kinds of terpenes.
Right. So people re-add in the terpenes, like a company like True Terpenes, which is a Goliath company now.
Right.
Probably they just re-add the terpenes.
What you're trying to do is you're trying to take what that kind of thing is and put it in the ground and kind of.
Pretty much people can formulate whatever you want. Add 20% CBN into your Delta 8 vape. Now you got an indica. Add 20% THCV in. Now you got a sativa. So that's what we're seeing. And another thing I guess I'll say is we've expedited the cannabis science by probably 2 decades just because of what we've been able to do. Cannabis companies typically sell CBN, THCV if they're special, and Delta 9 THC. Like I said, our company sells 42 cannabinoids, and these are all over the market.
Wow. That's cool, man. I'm just sitting on
No, it's actually a good question because I'm sure a lot of people have no idea what I'm talking about.
Air flowing through.
Yeah. So my company could.
All that shit. Where
Yeah,
I can just
so-
take that hemp plant, mix it with some shit and sell it at a gas station.
So how many?
Yes, you guys all are.
Hey, wait, how many people out there would like to have Jim join us on stage?
Belushi.
No, come on, come on. No, no, it's all right.
You don't have to fight. No, yeah.
I'm a little ignorant to it. I'm a little ignorant to it. That's why I'm
That's
here.
important. I mean, there is a lot of cannabis indie,
I'm
obviously.
really
so.
stupid about hemp. I just know that when the hemp boom came in Oregon and California, it was like everybody, their brother and the cartel were growing it.
Yeah.
And within a year and a half, everybody lost everything. Every convention that had CBD in it, and they didn't show up the next year.
Yeah. So
And
Delta 8
it was the one gold rush I didn't go into that I went, holy shit, I was smart for the first time.
Yeah.
But now you're taking that hemp business and creating really a business to get high.
Yeah, we're taking all that crop and we're converting it to Delta 8, essentially.
Right, okay. No, I don't want to introduce myself. They'll have to guess. If they don't guess, fuck them, I don't care. So, so you're growing a tremendous amount of hemp in Africa?
Yeah, so we don't actually make the CBD.
So you're a consultant?
No. I own the company. We're a distributor.
Oh, you're a distributor?
Yeah. So we sold
all right.
6.6 metric tons last month. We'll probably do 8 tons this
Yeah,
month.
okay. You're not a farmer.
No. We don't want to get involved in that.
Oh, of course you don't want to get involved in that.
we like the part that makes money.
You want the safe thing. Yeah, you want the safe thing.
Yeah.
But
For example, we on a monthly basis, roughly 600,000 pounds gets consumed indirectly through us.
you got too many fucking numbers for me in a row, man.
Yeah. Well, this is what I do for a living.
Too many numbers. Too many numbers. I'm simple. I'm like 1 + 1 is 2. 250 million and 260 trillion and CBD and 2B 600,000 pounds and I feel like I'm getting sold some with all those numbers. Just give me 1 + 1. 1 + 1 is you take the hemp plant, you fuck with it, and people get high.
And we make a shit ton of money.
And you make a shit ton of money. Yeah. Okay. I'm not in it for the money. That's why I'm in the other business. I'm in the cannabis business that sells recreational and adult use and medicine. So I'm in a business that doesn't make any money.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing, but we don't have restriction. That's all. Like I said,
I know it's a bitch.
I get wire transfers every day, and my money's at Bank of America. That's the thing I always like. To tell
throw
people.
some numbers in here.
I will not tell
I
you.
get a wire transfer. I got one today for 250 euros. Transfers it to what are the dollars?
Yesterday we did 380,000 in sales.
Euros, dollars,
There was some euros in there.
pesos.
It's actually probably higher than that. Probably about 50,000 euros in.
See, okay, I knew you had some more numbers in there, man. Come on, let's get some multiples going here.
That's why we're here.
I don't mean to fuck with you, but it's fun.
This is great now. I'm having fun too.
Now we're moving. Now we're cooking.
Here we go.
Now, I have a joint in my pocket from Oregon, Southern Oregon, and I have a bag of D8. What do you call it? TH8? What is it?
You actually?
Delta 8. I can give you a bag of Delta 8 or a joint from Oregon. What do you want to smoke?
Oregon grows the second best weed in the world.
They bet the best weed in the world. Okay, just So it's a working man's weed is what you're talking about. At gas stations and it's a...
Yeah, like I was describing, I think we've converted a lot of people that would never go into a medical dispensary. In most of these states where we're big, there aren't that access anyway. For example, and Florida's a medical state too, but I was walking down Duval Street in Key West, Florida, and there's 3 dispensaries all shut down. There's about 25 stores selling Delta 8. And that's a mile.
Stores what?
Selling Delta 8. So the Delta 8 guys just crushed the med.
I have to be brought over to this Delta 8 thing. Just for some reason.
You're welcome to chat about it.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet because there were some stats that I heard, but I don't remember them. See, I'm not like you.
40 billion.
Yeah, 40 billion. In Mississippi, there was legislation that they were fighting about trying to keep the Delta 8 out because of some health issues that were sprung up from the usage, but that was, I can't even quote it, so I don't have the credibility here.
We get lots of propaganda against us.
Yes, right, some anti-propaganda.
Yeah, it comes from the cannabis side. So usually when we
It comes from my side, is that what you said?
yeah. I mean, it's
You know what? I
mainly-
think you're right. I think you're right, because that
I know I'm
stat I
right.
heard was from a grower.
Yeah,
They-
Truly spent $10 million lobbying, and we kicked their ass in Florida up and down the street.
Ah, so there is a fight between my side and your side.
Absolutely.
And this is why here's the tension.
Yeah.
And within 5 minutes, you'll be able to take bets, because we'll be wrestling right here.
I'll make a prediction. I think the fight will be over
But here's the irony.
June of next year.
Here's the irony in this discussion. You don't grow it.
I do not.
So in terms of what you're saying, where do you see things in the next 5-10 years in terms of hemp and cannabis? How do you see the market shifting based on what you're telling me?
Let me do the numbers for him, and then you explain it. 250, 20, 26 million. 26 million. Delta, 22, 4.6.
I expect cannabis.
Distribution is much.
I expect cannabis.
No 280 tax law distribution. Capital go right back to the investors. 1.6 in the.
Make me sound like a genius.
You are a fucking genius, man. You are a genius. I'm not as smart as you. And if I had your shoes, I'd be better looking.
I do like my shoes.
I do like the shoes. Look at my shit.
I like David's better, but I'm working on it.
Mine's even curled under. Look at that. I didn't even do it right.
So in the next year, I expect the fight to be over, and I expect hemp to win. There's some things that I won't discuss on stage, but things look very good for hemp. That's for sure. The EU is a different ball game, but we do lobby here, or I'll be in Prague tomorrow for my association, so we'll see what happens there. They're actually supposed to make a decision tomorrow on HHC.
But do you think at some point, like, the FDA will catch up because it is psychoactive?
We're talking to the FDA, and they told us they want to regulate it our way. They told us that they want to regulate Delta 8. They want to regulate, like, we don't expect to get Juuled, which, if people aren't familiar, FDA came out and just banned Juul. It was a big concern of ours, actually. So we're in discussions with the FDA and the federal government and state. I was meeting with the governor of Kentucky 4 days ago, and I go, I need seeds in the ground. So we're working on economic incentives to help the farmer. So if you want to move to Kentucky, I can help you out, but I need 1.5 million pounds.
That's what I want. I'm going right for it. A hemp farm in Kentucky. That's what I want. It's one of the largest hemp states, right?
Yeah, it's my understanding is, I don't know about acres, but I think it is.
Who's the senator in Kentucky?
Governor Bashir is who I was referencing, and then I'm meeting with a bunch of his staff members. But we're trying to get as much hemp in the ground as possible because we expect demand. I mean, we turn down business all the time. We can't even keep up.
I know that. I knew that. I read that on your ad.
We won't take your business.
We turn down business all the time. I don't even need to fucking be here.
Brad, did the FDA give you any reasons as to why they wanted to regulate it, or how they were going to go about it?
I wasn't. I mean, I probably shouldn't even be speaking about this, but I wasn't the one that had the conversation. But they just wanted the FDA is not going to come out and say, hey, Delta 8's cool, do whatever you want. They just want it regulated at the federal level with more guidelines in the Farm Bill, essentially. So I guess I'm giving out all the secrets now.
So real quick, since now we have Jim Belushi on the stage, do you have, with regards to the title of our talk, your thoughts on the winners and your experience the next couple of years, Jim?
Winners, who will be the winners and the losers?
Countries, companies, technologies, any thoughts on that?
It all sucks. It's the only way you really can win in any of these categories is if you're driven with purpose. And you have to be able to sacrifice all kinds of shit to be committed to your purpose. And one of those things you have to sacrifice is money. And if your purpose is embedded in your body and your heart, you can be a winner no matter what. And my purpose is about the healing benefits of cannabis. So when I see people, veterans that have PTSD, that we're given a bottle of 600 Oxycontin to help them, and we move them over to cannabis, you know, that changes everything for me. So I may lose money on my farm. I can afford it. A lot of farmers aren't. They're really struggling. So it's easier for me, I'm luxurious, to be able to keep on purpose. And my purpose is about healing. My purpose is about, you know, taking people. That's what I loved with the hemp when I saw these children in Colorado Springs. You know, there was a little place called the Realm of Care, and they had about 30, 40 children there, varying from age from 5 to 14, that were having so many seizures in a day that the married couple, it's hard for them to stay married because the mother is in the bedroom with the son watching for the seizures. You know, taking the son into hospice with 14 different kinds of medication. She is never in her husband's bed. Their relations have gone to zero. So this family, because of this disease, is about to split this family up. And to see what a little CBD oil did for that child, it saved the child, it saved the family. I think cannabis has a multitude of purposes, and it's all driven to helping families, which is where we live, right? So there's a lot of guys smoking. I mean, yeah. So I think you're a natural winner if you're in this industry. I don't know if you're the best businessman. I know I'm not. But I feel good every day when people are healed. Or, I mean, I have a strain that's not hemp. It's cherry pie, it's called. And it's got like a 19% THC and about 3% terpenes, you know. Some limonene in it, you know. And I'm a lightweight. So I took a hit. One hit, and came downstairs and saw my wife. And everything she said was beautiful. I couldn't believe how beautiful my wife was. And I called Cherry Pie the marriage counselor. So, I mean, cannabis heals so many things besides helps with cancer and seizures and backaches and sleeplessness, hopelessness. It helps with hopelessness. And can help with your partner or your wife too. You know, I mean, it's just much better than alcohol. I mean, the interesting stat, and I'll talk about it tomorrow, because I do have one stat. I have one. In the state of Illinois, they paid $478 million in state taxes, the cannabis industry. In Illinois, that year, they paid $278 million in taxes for liquor. There's a lot more bars and liquor stores than there are dispensaries. So the war on drugs is still continuing with the overtaxation and the overregulation. And what this gentleman's talking about is moving all out on the side of that, which is cool, And if it's medically motivated, I think it's even super cool. But I don't know the medical benefits of the Delta-8.
I hate to cut everybody off, but we're out of time. It's time to
I'll
start the
talk
party.
all day, man. I'll talk all day. I'll talk. No. Thursday I'm talking, right?
Thursday you're talking, and also you're having a meet and greet in the reception lobby. with the booze and everything right now. Let's hear it for Jim Belushi. Look, just like that.